Hello everyone. I am Meghana PS, working as an assistant professor in commerce, Government First Aid College, Bharamsagra. I am discussing about the subject financial markets and services under that module regulatory system. In this session, I am discussing about the functions of Securities and Exchange Board of India. The objective of this session is to understand the functions of SEBI, and by the end of this session you will understand the functions of SEBI. Let's take a quick recap of previous session. In the previous session we discussed about objectives of SEBI. The objectives of SEBI includes prevention of malpractices, protection to the investors, and proper functioning of market. And we also discussed about various responsibilities and powers of SEBI. The functions of SEBI is divided into three. The first one is regulatory function, second one is development function, and the third one is protective function. Let's see the regulatory functions of SEBI. These functions are basically carried out to keep check on the function of business in the financial market. It includes regulation of stock exchange and self-regulatory organization. Stock exchanges like BSE and NSE, and self-regulatory organization like AMFI, Association of Mutual Funds in India. So regulating these two institutions is one of the function. And next one is designing guidelines and code of conduct for the proper functioning of financial intermediaries and corporate. Means SEBI has a function that it has to provide guidelines as well as code of conduct, that is rules and regulation has to be provided by the SEBI to the proper functioning of financial intermediaries, and corporate means companies. And next one is registration and regulation of the working of collective investment schemes, including in mutual funds. In mutual funds we have schemes. So the collective investment schemes has to be registered and regulated by the SEBI. And next one is a regulation of substantial acquisition of shares and takeover of companies. Means SEBI has to look after the takeover of companies as well as acquisition of shares. Substantial acquisition means major portion of the shares which are acquired. So these kind of activities has to be taken care by the SEBI. The other regulatory functions of SEBI are conducting inquiries and audit of exchanges. As we see in the powers, the SEBI has a power to audit the books of records of stock exchanges. So in the functions itself, the SEBI has to conduct inquiries if there is any malpractices in the stock exchanges, and also it has to audit the books of records of the stock exchange. And the next one is registration of brokers, sub-brokers, merchant bankers, etc. So the SEBI has to register the intermediaries who participate in the stock market. And next, levying of fees. Means SEBI has to levy the fees or charges which are required for the regulation purpose. And next one is performing and exercising powers. Means in the act there are several powers which are provided for the SEBI. So SEBI has to perform all those powers and exercise those powers. And the last one is register and regulate credit rating agency. Credit rating agency means these are the companies which rates the debtors' ability to repay the debts. So these agencies were registered and regulated by the SEBI. So these are the regulatory functions of SEBI. Next kind of function is development function of SEBI. The first development function is imparting training to intermediaries. So here there are several intermediaries in the stock markets, namely brokers, sub-brokers, merchant bankers, registrars to the issue, and so on. So the SEBI has to provide training facility for those intermediaries. And next one is promotion of fair trading and reduction of malpractices. SEBI established to reduce the malpractices in the capital market. So it has to reduce the unfair trade practices in stock market and has to promote fair trade practices in the capital market. And next one is carry out research work. SEBI has to carry out the research work and it has to publish useful information which is needed for the general public or market participants. And the last one is encouraging self-regulating organization. So it has to promote the self-regulating organizations in India. Next kind of functions are protective functions of SEBI. As the name only suggests, the protective function means these functions are carried out to protect the interest of the investors. It includes checking price rigging. Price rigging means it is pushing the prices of the shares by trading those shares among the 3 or 4 parties. Andre 3-4 ಜನ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದೇ ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಶೇರ್ಸ್ ನ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಟ್ರೇಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅದರ ಶೇರ್ಸ್ ನ ಬೆಲೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Why? Because the demand and supply position of the shares is going to be increased. So for that purpose, the prices of the shares will be increased by the price rigging strategy. So the SEBI has to check price rigging in the capital market. And next one is prevent insider trading. Insider trading in the sense the person who knows insider information of the company which is unpublished has an advantage over the others. Means ಯಾರು ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಅನ್ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ಡ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಅದು ಮೇಜರ್ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ he has an advantage over the other investors. ಸೊ ಈ ತರ ಇನ್ಸೈಡರ್ ಟ್ರೇಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಯಾರು SEBI. So it has to prevent this kind of insider trading activities. Next is create awareness among investors. SEBI has to create awareness among investors about their rights and grievance redressal and investment strategy. And the last one is prohibit fraudulent and unfair trade practices. So SEBI has to reduce the fraudulent and unfair trade practices like charging excessive brokerage fees and price rigging, insider trading, and delay in settlement procedures. So all these unfair trade practices has to be reduced. So in this session, we discussed about the functions of SEBI, where it is divided into 3 types. They are regulatory function, development function, and protective function. Regulatory functions are carried out to keep check on the functioning of the business in the financial markets, and development functions are performed to develop the investors as well as intermediaries, and protective functions are performed to protect the interest of the investors as well as the market participants. These are the references which you can refer for your further readings. I hope you understood the concept of functions of SEBI. Thank you all.